Hello, this is Dr. Stanley Lang. Welcome to this video, which is on the topic of what do you do when you start falling off the wagon and you're trying to reverse diabetes by lifestyle. So I'd like to tell you a story about a patient that I saw 2 days ago who is in this situation. And 2 years ago, she completely reversed her diabetes with the strategies that we use in the office. And she had brought her significantly elevated blood sugars into complete good control by 6 months after starting the program, a little bit faster than most people. And a year later, she was still doing really well. This is about another 6 months later, and she wasn't doing quite as well. She'd gained a little bit of weight, but wasn't really checking blood sugars because she hasn't been diabetic for a while. But I could tell that things didn't look quite right. And so we did some blood work, and lo and behold, her triglyceride HDL ratio was horrible, which is a really bad sign that insulin resistance is worsening, and her fasting insulin level was quite a bit higher than it ought to be. Her fasting blood sugar was a little bit high. Her A1C, though, was still normal. So she was just starting to drift into becoming overtly diabetic again, unless she was able to turn the course around, turn the direction of her life around. And so we talked a little bit about the options and why was this happening. And my experience has been that people fall into this kind of a pattern. That is, they fall back into older, stronger habits because of stress, chronic stress, usually, and that's usually superimposed on top of a poor self-image. So what can you do in the short run to help turn this around? So it's very difficult to fix your self-image in the short run. That's a long-term strategy, which I encourage for everybody if they're intent on helping their health be as good as possible, particularly if you're trying to lose weight permanently or reverse diabetes. It's critical that you work on your self-image and the parts of yourself that you just don't like. And so that leads to this sense of feeling deserving of less than good. And so we bring upon ourselves less than good results, all at a subconscious level. But as I said, that's a long-term strategy. The short-term strategy is, what can I do to very rapidly decrease stress? Because stress is what's driving these sort of subconscious behaviors to undermine myself as it's superimposed on top of the poor self-image. And there's a few things that are really helpful, and one thing that is not stress related but is really critical strategy. So the things that rapidly decrease stress, and a lot of people just forget to do it or they stop doing it, is number one, a simple 30-minute vigorous walk. So if you can get outside and walk, it's better than being inside and exercising. And there's a lot of reasons for that. It has to do with energy that is outside, coming from the sun, coming through your clothes, just the beauty of nature, even if it's wintertime, and fresh air versus stale air. There's lots of other factors, but a 30-minute vigorous walk every day is a very, very powerful stress reducer. And if you're doing something else, you can still do this 30-minute walk in addition to that, as far as exercise. Now, the second thing that rapidly decreases stress is prayer. So people that have an inclination to pray, you need to expand the prayer time significantly so that you are sitting in quiet with the Lord and spending time listening and some time talking, but mainly listening, and lots of time thanking. And then the last part of that prayer part that's really critical is forgiving, because if we're storing up anger, unforgiveness, resentment, that leads to lots of stress-related behavior. And then the last area that I would just focus on that you can quickly decrease stress is by re-engaging your most significant relationships, purposely working on them so that you're bringing goodness and growth to the other person rather than what can I get out of the relationship? The question is, what can I give into the relationship? And when we do that, that dramatically decreases stress. It's just the way God wired us. So these are things that you can do right away to start to decrease stress when you see yourself starting to slip. Now, the other thing I sort of alluded to that you can do that is very powerful is, as fast as possible, find an accountability person. It could be a spouse, it could be a friend, but you start talking to that person every day and you're giving them feedback about how you're doing. It's kind of like an Alcoholics Anonymous sponsor. You know, when somebody starts to get into trouble, they talk to their sponsor. At least that's the plan. So you talk to your accountability person every day, and just you're gonna check in and tell them how you're doing. And they don't have to do anything except listen. They can hold your feet to the fire in whatever way you decide to do it. But accountability really, really helps when you're wobbling. And accountability is no different than having a good coach. So even the best basketball players have a coach, and an accountability person can be like a coach. So I encourage you to adopt these strategies, and to not to give up, not give in, but to get back on course. It's not so hard to get back on course if you don't let yourself fall all the way down, because a lot of people, once they start to slip a little bit, they say, oh, what the heck, and they just go all in falling off the wagon. So before you fall all the way off, catch yourself, get back on by doing these strategies, and don't let yourself fall all the way off, because it's a lot harder to get restarted at that point. And it's a lot easier to kind of right the ship if you do it early. So whether your issue is weight loss, diabetes, high blood pressure, whatever the lifestyle issues are that you need to solve, these are strategies that will help. I wish you well, God bless, and have a great day.